welcome to UCB Meets. I'm Mike Rimmer. Bryn Haworth is my guest in the programme. He's a legendary musician, excellent guitarist, worship leader, singer, songwriter. Let's start off with some music from him. This is Grappenhall Rag.
I believe in him, give me everything, makes me laugh and sing, play my mandolin, and I love my woman, love my life, love the Lord, so I'll be alright. And I love my woman, love my life, love the Lord, so I'll be alright. All you have to see is grace is ours for free. Nothing you can do can change his love for you. And I love my woman, love my life, love the Lord, so I'll be alright. And I love my woman, love my life, love the Lord, so I'll be alright. I believe in him, his love is everything, make you laugh and sing till those mountains rain. So love your woman, love your life, love the Lord, and you'll be alright. I said love your woman, love your life, love the Lord, and you'll be alright. Alright.
That is Grappenhall Rag. That is Bryn Haworth. Welcome to the programme, Bryn. Nice to see you.
Thank you, mate.
So let's talk about growing up. You grew up in the northwest of England. Not a very happy family situation for you.
No, it wasn't. But it's like many families these days. My parents broke up when I was 13, and I went to live off with my dad, and we didn't really get on that well. At that time anyway, and so I couldn't wait to leave, and so I went. When I got to leaving age, which was about 17, I escaped and I went down to London because I could play a bit, and I just had a boring job at home, and so I just went down to London and slept in the bus station, Victoria bus station, then went looking for a job in Soho in Denmark Street because all the music shops were there then. Okay. And you get little ads saying wanted lead guitar player, you must be able to do their own makeup. And so I would queue with all the other guitar players and then sit in coffee bars waiting for a phone call to say that I got a gig, and I eventually got myself a job in a band, and that was it really. I've been playing guitar ever since.
Well, you started playing guitar at the age of 11. You were given your first guitar, weren't you?
Yeah, and I had to pester for that. It works. Pester power really works. And I got myself. I used to walk around with tennis rackets, anything with strings on, and those and anything to make a noise. And eventually, I got myself a classical for Christmas, and Yeah, that I used to put fuse wire on that one. Yeah. Which didn't last very long. You play it and it would break, but you could find thick fuse wire, but I didn't have any strings.
Ingenuity to play.
Yeah, but I was really proud with that thing then. And but eventually I got a classical guitar, which was a little disappointing because I wanted a red electric one.
Yeah.
And I went to classical guitar lessons. I was made to go for a year, and it was fabulous. It really turned my understanding around of what guitar could do, because I had a good teacher, and he was really, he looked really old. He's probably about 50, you know, but he looked ancient. And he sat down and played this classical piece, and it was like fire was coming out of his hands. And I thought, what is this? I didn't know a guitar could do that, and I was hooked. You know, I just loved it.
And you started playing slide guitar, what was then known as bottleneck guitar, didn't you? Which was quite an unusual guitar style. I know you've got a guitar, and would you like to demonstrate a little bit to us so people can know what we're talking about here?
When in those days, back in the 50s, early 60s, guitars came with quite heavy gauge strings on, this is a similar gauge, but for electric guitar, it would have been quite thick. And I was hearing people bend strings, you know, make a sound like that, but on the thick, heavy gauge strings, it's really hard to do that. And I thought, how did they do it? And so I read in an article about blues guitar that you could use a slide. And I thought, what's that, a bottleneck? And then I thought, well, I get a washer out of my mum's drawer, and just a piece of metal, a tubing, and I put it on my finger, and I went. I mean, it wasn't quite like that, you know, when I first started, but. But the whole thing, I thought, well, this is how they're making the sound that they're making back in the 60s. And so I went down to London, like a real hick, you know, playing slide guitar, because I thought that's how you did it. And then I saw that nobody used slide guitar. They all had thin strings on. And that's, you know... So they would bend strings like that, and so I just chucked the slide away and did like everybody else, put light strings on. But when I was in America, I was in a two-guitar band, and I thought, well, there's no point in us both doing the same thing, so I'm going back. I'll go back to open tunings and play slide. So back in the early 70s, I really concentrated on it.
And that became really your signature sound, didn't it, the slide guitar? It
did, yeah. But I think it's just such a melodic. I mean, you can play it like the Elmore James type, but you know. You can do the full chord thing, you know, but I like to find melodies, and you know, you can find really nice solo things, you know, melodies on it. So it really suited me.
So now everybody knows about the slide guitar. Thank you for the demo.
Good.
Tell me about London then. You were right. You washed up in London. You joined a band called Fleur de Lis.
Yeah.
And you were part of the kind of London underground rock scene in the late 60s, weren't you?
We were. We did quite well because we had a manager who was. Had Atlantic Records, and we were the first band signed before Led Zeppelin to Atlantic Records, and where we became the house band for all the American artists, visiting artists. So we'd be recording with Barney Kessel one day, with Isaac Hayes and David Porter, who wrote songs for Stax, all the Hold On I'm Coming and things like that. We'd do their demos, and we had a real mix. Every day we'd go in and did really well. Then we had our own gigs to do, and then we also backed a girl called Sharon Tandy, and so we were really busy. And also we had a residency in a club called the Speakeasy, where all the people like Beatles and Jimi Hendrix would come in at night. And
Jimi Hendrix was a fan of yours. He heard a guitar solo you'd done on a Fleur de Lis single.
It's wild, yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, I'd done this solo. I mean, it was very Hendrix influence. I mean, I was just trying to do what he did, you know. But he came in one night and he bought me a drink. He brought me a rum and coke. And he says, "I really like that solo you did on this song." And I thought, wow. And it was really interesting because he was such a great guy, such a nice, easygoing guy. And I said, "Do you want to come up and jam?" Because I always kept two guitars up on stage, you know, just in case, because you get Eric Clapton coming in and all the Beatles would come in. And he said, yeah, man. And so he got up there and took my guitar, which was a right-handed guitar like this, and turned it upside down and played just the same way on a right-handed strum guitar as he did on his left-handed strum. And I said, what are we going to do? And he said, let's do Red House, you know. And so it was just a fantastic memory, you know, to be playing and jamming with someone like that. It was a great time.
You moved to America.
Yeah.
Why move to America? Wasn't London kind of working for you?
Well, the thing for me is that I liked American music. I really loved America. And I thought, well, if I can go to America and do well there, then I've really done well. You know, I've made it kind of thing. And I met a guy who was in a band called Blue Cheer, who had a huge hit. They were like the first heavy metal band, really. They were in the Guinness Book of Records for being the loudest band in the world at that time. And I went over with him, and he just left, and he started a band called Red Weather, and I joined him up in San Francisco, and we played for a while together. And then I joined another band called Wolfgang, which...
Here's a picture of Wolfgang.
Now that guy, the third from the right there, that's Lee Sklar, who's a very famous bass player these days. Yeah, he was in the band. Bugs Pemberton on the right there was the drummer. He used to be in the Undertakers, Jackie Lomax's band in Liverpool. And so it was a hot band with two guitars, a really good lead singer, and our manager was a guy called Bill Graham, who had the Fillmore West, Fillmore East, and his real name was Wolfgang Grajonka, and so he said, "You're called Wolfgang." I said, "Right, boss." And he used to let us rehearse in the Fillmore West, so we got to play on all these gigs, and at Winterland, you know, with Led Zeppelin and the Moody Blues and the Who and just all the bands, basically. We got some great gigs there.
So you were really kind of submerged into the you know, American music scene and doing pretty well, but mega success eluded you.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know why, but it just happened like that. But the thing is, I came back to England in the 70s. It's one of those things that, you know, we recorded, like Wolfgang recorded an album which was really good, but it never came out, things like that. And then it started to fall to pieces, and so I came back to London and started writing, and eventually got a record contract with Island Records and did my own solo albums.
Now, while in America, you'd met your wife, Sally?
Yes. Yeah.
And that happened in Woodstock, of all places.
Yeah, we were living in upstate New York, in Woodstock, and she came along as travelling with my best friend, a guitar player. Hi.
There you both are.
And, you know, we got on really well, we talked a lot, and then I met her again in California, and we came back to England together and went to live in Wales together, and eventually got married there.
So you're back in England together, you are getting it together in the country, like lots of people did in that era, in Wales, and searching for God in all kinds of different places. You seem to have this kind of hunger inside you for something.
Well, the interesting thing is that we were taken out of a really active service, basically. We were very busy with bands and things like that, and then suddenly you're planted in this in Wales, and it's just sheep, you know. There's nothing there, and in the country, and you suddenly think, well, why do I have to drink a bottle of wine a day? Why do I have to do so much drugs every day? Because when you were back in California with all the bands, it didn't seem to